You're listening to Garibaldi Red, a Nottingham Forest podcast brought to you by Nottinghamshire Live. Hello, welcome to Garibaldi Red as we look through something a bit different during the international break. As ever, I'm delighted to be joined by Forest Women captain Lyndsey Harkin to discuss their season and look ahead to their big game against Derby County this weekend. Lyndsey, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
You've pulled over in traffic on your way home to speak to me, so I appreciate that. How's it going this season for you? I know you're top of the league, but there's a lot of work to do to get promotion, I guess.
Yeah, we've still got a bit of a way to go in the season yet. So it's coming to sort of the business end of the season a little bit now with some big games coming up, like say Derby at the weekend. We've got Burnley soon as well, who are they would go top if they win their game in hand. So it's all to play for still. Good season so far. We've been picking up some very positive results. But yeah, well, let's see how the back end of the season goes.
The funny thing about your league, and I know Andy Cook, I've said this to him when I come on, but is it still only one team goes up? Is that right?
Well, not necessarily, no. So we're in the Northern Premier League. There's also the Southern Premier League. So whoever wins each league then goes into a playoff at the end of the season. I think it's the 20th of May. So then whoever wins that playoff then goes and gets promoted. So you can go through and win promoted. Yeah, so it's quite tough. So yeah, like I say, all to play for both leagues.
Oh man, I mean that must drive you mad, mustn't it? You know, it's so hard to get promoted.
It's pretty tough. Yeah, I mean, there has been other occasions where the FA have promoted both sides, and I think it depends on what they want to do. Sort of in the leagues, 2 leagues above the Championship and obviously the Premier League WSL. So it depends on what the FA decide, really. Hopefully, I think there's talks of it changing, but we've just got to wait and see. Obviously not for this season anyway, but for in the future, hopefully it does change, because I think, you know, you can go and win your league, and I think you should deserve to be promoted on that basis, I'd say.
Oh yeah, massively. So I've got the table here for people who are watching along, so we can see where Forest are. This is in the 3rd tier of the national structure. You can see Forest are top, 1 point ahead of Burnley, who have the game in hand, and Wolves, who are 3 points behind. Then it's Derby, who we'll talk about, in 4th. I think when I've spoken to Andy last couple of seasons, you've been there or thereabouts in 3rd or 4th. I don't think you've been top at this stage. What's it like? Is there an extra pressure as leaders or not? Does it add any extra weight on your shoulders?
To be honest, it's not really felt like that. I know it sounds really cliche, and everyone always says it when you're near the top, like, let's play game to game. But it really has felt like that. We've just been kind of going each game at a time, working hard in training, doing all the usual things we would do. So there's nothing in terms of anything we're doing differently to any other season, really. It's just that we've been you get a bit of momentum when you pick up the wins. It feels like you feel more positive, obviously, and you're going into games believing a little bit more. So I think that's played a part. We've done a lot of work sort of like off the pitch as a team, psychologically, which I think has helped as well. And I think we're just a very close-knit group, so it's been nice to kind of be in a lot of winning positions so far this season.
Talk to us about the Derby game. Obviously, we all know of the rivalry between the football clubs. I guess that's the case for you guys as much as it is the men's team, then.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it's one of them games that, as a Forest fan, or again playing for the women's team, you look out for them games during the season. So it'll be nice for us to get back to Pride Park again as well. We always get kind of a good crowd there, either at the City Ground or Pride Park on the return fixtures. So, yeah, it's one we're really looking forward to.
Yeah, this game, Sunday at 2:00 at Pride Park, I should say, if Forest fans want to get along and support the team. Obviously, an international break, so no game for the men's first team at the moment. What's your record like against Derby? I know, has it been a bit up and down the last couple of years, or have you had the better of them?
Yeah, it's been a bit up and down. I think if I'm remembering rightly, I think they beat us twice last year. I think. I can't remember now. I think I've tried to forget that. So, but this season we beat them at City Ground. But they've been having a good season, so it's going to be a really good game, I think, for the neutral or either fans. I think it will be a close game, so it should be a really good one for people to come down and watch.
Yeah, I mean, we talk all the time about the Premier League and this game's a must-win game. The next one, obviously, the Wolves game does feel like a must-win game. Does this feel like a must-win game for you guys if you're going to go up, or do you not? Are you not able to look at games that way, or you might come unstuck?
No, I think it would be silly of us to say it's not a must win. I wouldn't say must win. We want to do everything we can to win that game, and they will be doing the same. They're still in for the league as well. So that's what, when I say about it being really exciting game to come and watch, I genuinely do think it will be, because both teams will probably be going for it and trying to get the win. So yeah, it's one we're looking to. That's our next game, so that's the one we're putting all the effort into this week for and preparing rightly for it.
I was just looking at recent results before I started talking to you, and I see Derby lost their last game, and you guys drew against Loughborough, who are bottom of the league, which I guess wasn't a result you saw coming. I don't know the circumstances of the game, but does that put a different dimension on this one or not?
Yeah, so we played Loughborough midweek last week on a Thursday. Again, they're always a tough team to play. We've got a few ex-players that used to play for us that now play for them, so it gives that extra bit of spice and sort of, makes it more difficult for us. And to be honest, first half we were terrible. We deserved losing. We were 2-0 down at half time, so we had to come out and sort of go for it second half. And I think to get the draw was quite important for us not to lose that game. So we showed a bit of character, which is what we're about, really. So it was good to get that point on board. And again, Derby, I think they lost to Burnley on Sunday. So another team that are doing well this season. So it's probably one for them that they want to kind of put that result right as well, which again makes added spice for the weekend.
Looking at the bigger picture of the next few years for yourself and the football club, what are you hoping Forest can achieve, and what level do you think they could get to? Because there's so many, not well-funded, relatively well-funded clubs in women's football now compared to what there used to be. What do you think Forest Women can do in the next 2 or 3 years?
Our aim is to get promoted. We've been saying it for a few years now, and I think things behind the scenes are slowly improving, and we're kind of building on that. So it's down to us on the pitch to kind of get us promoted and into the championship. And yeah, just see where things go. Like you say, there's been a lot of more. I think the Euros win for the Lionesses has been a huge publicity that's gaining momentum in the women's game, and kind of the sponsorships and things that come with it at the top level. So I think for us we're the third tier, obviously, and I think it's kind of just keep building on that, keep sort of piggybacking on the back of that win, and keep the momentum going, and yeah, ultimately get promoted into the championship is our aim.
How much has it evolved for yourself through your career, the women's game? Because I know you've played at the highest level, haven't you? I think with Doncaster, I think I'm right in saying. How's women's football evolved through the last 10 years for you playing at this level?
Well, I think, even growing up, like when I was a young girl, we didn't really see many women's games sort of on telly, and things like that. Whereas now girls can sort of grow up aspiring to be a professional footballer. Whereas I don't think when I was young, I saw that as being an opportunity. Whereas now it's kind of at the top level. There's a lot of all the clubs at the top level are professional, and then the championship, I think there's only perhaps 2 that are semi-professional, where the rest of them are professional. So it's grown massively, and I think it's sort of credit to the work that the people behind the scenes are doing, and the Lionesses winning, like I've said before, that's only going to help the situation. And so people giving it a bit of a chance, because I think some people are sort of pleasantly surprised when they sort of watch women's football, when they realise very technical. Yes, we might not be as fast as the men, but if you look at the technical ability and everything that's coming with it, and the improvements in the game, it's been huge over the last few years, and it's continuing to grow.
Have you seen that yourself then at Forest Women? Excuse me, just over the last 2 or 3 years in terms of technical ability then?
Yeah, I think the standard in our leagues has gone up, and again in the leagues above it, it's gone up again as well. So yeah, I think in the last few years we've kind of just been a little bit short in terms of the league running, not where we've wanted to be. But this year we've pushed on a bit more, and yeah, we'll just see how that goes, obviously. But I think we're improving across the board.
Can you give viewers an insight into what a week looks like for you as a semi-pro footballer for Forest Women? Because I know like men's non-league teams, they'll train Tuesday, Thursday. Is it similar for you guys at your level still?
Yeah, so we're still classed as amateur. We're not semi-professional. So a lot of us have full-time jobs. Well, I've come from work today, like to speak to you. So I work 9 to 5, pretty much Monday to Friday, which a lot of the girls are the same. Some are at university. I've got 2 children too. So it's balancing kind of with family life and football and work. So on a typical week of training, it's Tuesday, Thursdays we train on the pitch. Wednesdays is a gym session and analysis. And then normally we'll probably play on a Sunday. The odd time we get like a midweek game, Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday, depending sort of on the opposition and pitch availability. So yeah, it's and then again, Monday, Fridays we have sessions that we can do, gym sessions as well. So it's quite hectic schedule in terms of balancing everything, but we all say like we wouldn't do it if we didn't love it. So it's all good.
Yeah, true. I don't know how you get any sleep if you've got young kids and a job as well, but fair play.
And family that really support me, and a lot of the girls will say the same.
What would you like the kind of next step for women's football then in general to be? I know you can't speak for Nottingham Forest, obviously, but is the dream that, you know, from say the Championship down, that every club's professional? Is that realistic or not? Or Championship up, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, the way things are going, it is improving. So ultimately it can be a dream. We'll see how that goes, but I think it's just got to keep feeding through to the lower leagues. If we can expand the top leagues, then that'll be even better. I think, like you said at the start of this conversation, that if both of the teams that win the South and North League, if they can get promoted, then that's obviously extending that league above. So that would be a step going forward as well. So yeah, just keep going and see how it goes.
And just sort of a bit more about this derby game then. What kind of areas are these games won and lost in then, these local derbies for you?
They've been quite close in recent years. It's always sort of a bit of a battle midfield, whatever it will be. Again, they're doing well this season. We're doing pretty well as well. So I think both boxes is going to be crucial, isn't it? Keeping them out, trying to keep a clean sheet, and kind of trusting our forwards that have been in good form this season so far, to get the goals at the other end.
Are the crowd a factor? I mean, like the City ground for the men's team is obviously massive. I went to watch you guys play Man City Women, and there was a massive crowd there a couple of years ago. Obviously, you didn't get the result because they're an amazing team. But can a big crowd be a factor in these games or not?
Yeah, I think it can help. Of course, it can. I think we've over the season we've kind of seen the attendances grow. We play at Eastwood normally on sort of our home games, and we're getting really decent crowds for sort of talking the last few years. It's really up to about probably 500 is that sort of been the average this season there, which is really good for us. But obviously at the stadiums, it attracts more people. Obviously, go to a nice stadium, and with it being the international break, like you say, that I think it will bring more people out. Hopefully, and we can always hear them when you're playing. I think it's as you are playing, you're obviously focused on the game, so you kind of hear them in the peripheral vision, peripheral sort of thing. But yeah, if we get as many Forest fans down there on Sunday cheering on for us, I think it will help us no end.
And when people go to Eastwood, I mean, I imagine it's is it quite a family friendly crowd? If you've got young kids, is it the perfect environment to almost introduce them to football, where it's not quite as loud as the City ground? Is that a good way to get people into football?
Yeah, definitely. At the city ground again, it's great. Everyone sits together. There's no sort of segregation. So my children come to the games, and there's a lot of children that do come to our matches. So there's not. I know typically at men's football you hear a lot of swearing and things like that. It's not really like that. It's quite family orientated. At Eastwood, we've had Robin Hood, the mascot, down. We've had a few games and things, and there's a lot of things going on. They always get a chance to kind of speak to all the players after the game. There's always a big queue for us to sign autographs and have a photo with them all. So it's a nice environment, and I think again it's one of them things. If you bring your kids down or just adults, it's fine. Then they always kind of have a good time, and hopefully we'll get a win for them.
Yeah, my kids have had a photo taken with a few of the players, maybe yourself actually as well. I'm not sure. I mean, is that nice for you though, to be a bit of a role model still?
Yeah, I think it's important. We always take the time out to kind of speak to everyone, because we were them kids one day where, you know, you look up to whoever playing in front of you and you want to kind of aspire to be like them. So I think it's important for us to kind of take our time out to speak to everyone and thank them for the support for us.
Who did you aspire to be then? Because, you know, I guess it was harder to be a woman, get into women's football. You know, I don't know how old you are. I wouldn't dare ask, but 10, 15 years ago, there might not have been those female role models that there are now. Who did you aspire to be when you were playing in the back garden?
Yeah, there was a few odd games, like England games, that used to be on telly. So I always used to love Alex Scott, who you obviously see a lot on telly now. And there's a player called Rachel Yankee. I think she's the top appearance holder for England, and she was amazing. So I always like to play, sort of aspire to be like them. But in the men's game, I don't know, anyone at Forest really. I used to go a lot to the Forest games. So yeah, that was it really.
Were you a regular at the City Ground then?
He was my favourite.
Like, say again? I lost you there.
Andy, I used to love him.
Oh yeah. Oh, me too. Massively. Just give us a final plug for the Derby game then, before we go. A message about how people can come and watch and what it would mean to have that support to you guys.
Yeah, I think it'll be massive to get a big crowd supporting us. Would be amazing. So hopefully a lot of people can come down and give us a support on the Sunday afternoon. I'm pretty sure tickets you can purchase on the gate, I think, and you can definitely buy them online beforehand. So get online, get your tickets, and hopefully come and support us, and we'll try to get the 3 points.
Yeah, it's always nice to take the points away from Pride Park, certainly. So hopefully that happens again. Lyndsey, thanks very much for joining us, and good luck for the game on Sunday and obviously the rest of the season as well.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Hopefully people enjoyed that. As ever, do like and subscribe. We'll be back on Monday with Arsha Ali talking about his love of Forest. And then next week, I did some recording today at a charity in Beeston called Sporting Memories with people with dementia. And then we'll be back with a Wolves preview if people's nerves can handle it before the next game back in the Premier League after this international break. So have a good time, a good weekend, everyone, and we shall see you soon.